Hey guys, welcome back to another Virgo Girl recommendation, and today's recommendation is none other than Boomerang. Can we just take a moment and think about how great that era was? I mean, I was strolling through YouTube and I happened to see that they had Boomerang, playing on YouTube. And I hadn't seen it in years. And I decided, why not watch it? For some reason, guys, I have to warn you, the sound for some reason is very low on YouTube. Like when I tried to watch it on YouTube, the sound was very low. And then I went to try to watch it. It's also on Tubi, and I went to watch it on Tubi, and the sound was low as well. So not sure what is going on. I tried to watch it on two different TVs, and I had the same issue. So I don't know. I also tried watching it with headphones, and the headphones, same thing. It was just very low, the volume. So that was a thing, but it was okay. I made it through. Anyway, I just want to take a brief moment to say that the 90s to me was such an amazing decade. The talent that we got from the 90s is just amazing, remarkable talent that we got. Just too many people to name at this point, especially right on the video. But there were just so many people who were so talented. I mean, from the music to the movies to just everything in entertainment was just such a good time to be alive. The 90s were great. So anyway, let me go ahead and jump right into this movie. So it was a rom-com, which I love. It was definitely a rom-com, and it had so many funny parts. For me, the funniest person had to be Chris Rock. Even though he wasn't like a major, part of the movie, his part stood out so much. He really, really put his impact on that movie. Especially when he was like, first the Fat Boys break up, and now this. Just little things like that. And then also just from the beginning, just how he kind of like talked to Marcus, who Marcus was played by Eddie Murphy, and he was the star of the show. But it's just his little interactions with him, which Marcus was actually his boss, or the boss, or, well, he was over him. Kind of, he was in a higher position than he was. The guy, Marcus, was like in marketing, and Chris Rock, the role he played, he was like in the mailroom or something like that. But either way, Marcus was in a higher position. And what I loved about this movie was the dynamic of the employees. And I feel like it was a true testament of the timing. I'm sorry, not the timing, of the time. Because I feel in the 90s, people were a little bit more open, I feel, to just being in the company of pretty much everyone. Whereas today, I feel like there's this elitist thing. And now, don't get me wrong, there was elitist people in the 90s as well, but I feel like it's gotten worse. And whereas there was a little bit more camaraderie when it comes to people working in office spaces at that time, as opposed to, now. Well, I feel that way. It seemed that way. I wasn't like in the workforce like that at that time, but I'm saying from what I've seen and everything, it seemed like it was a time where people kind of like got along more, in the early 90s there. Anyway, the movie had two strong personalities going up against each other. You had Eddie Murphy and you had Robin Givens. To me, Robin Givens played this movie so well. I was thinking to myself, is this like how she is? She played it so well. Is this like her real personality? I was thinking to myself. It just like was so good. Basically, the movie is about, if you haven't seen it, it's just about this guy who's like kind of like a playboy. He can get pretty much any woman, and pretty much just a womanizer. And he also has unrealistic expectations of what a woman should be, if you will. And his standards are through the roof, things like that. So he is dating all these women, and I use the word dating very loosely, and he runs into Robin Givens, who is, he's met his match, basically. In the movie, Robin basically is him in female form. So the movie it's just it's amazing to watch. Along with all that's going on with the little romantic thing with him and Robin Givens, her name is Jacqueline in the movie. There is also other very funny comedians in the movie. There is Martin Lawrence, who is hilarious, and Martin Lawrence, he brings that comic relief as well, but he has such a different kind of style, of comedy. So yeah, that was very, very welcome to see. And then you had the other gentleman, I can't think of his name right now. You had John Witherspoon, David Alan Grier. That's the guy I was trying to think of. David Alan Grier was in the movie. So you had these three comics who were very popular at this time. Eddie Murphy more so than the others, if I'm not mistaken. And David Alan Grier. I know David Alan Grier, he was on In Living Color. I'm not sure if it was around the same time, but I think it was around that time. And then you had Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken, he was just kind of getting started during that time, because this movie took place a very long time. It was like the early 90s. So Martin, I think he may have been a little bit newer in his career, but did an amazing job nonetheless. Tisha Campbell had cameos in the movie, and she did a great job as well. Very funny. You had Layla Rashawn. You also had the cat lady, or the kid. You had, man, who else? There was Grace Jones was in the movie. So you definitely had a star-studded cast, which helped a lot. And then you also had a lot of other people in the movie who were familiar faces. This was a very good cast, And don't get me wrong, I'm saying now they're recognizable. Now they are. Back then, a lot of these people were new, because it was so long ago. A lot of these people were just getting started in their careers. So it's a good thing to see. The movie is funny. It's, kind of like quirky. I think it also kind of teaches you a lesson. I always like to look for the lesson. For me, I feel the lesson is when it comes to women, it's really good to be yourself and not try to fake a man out, if you will. Like, don't try to conform to something that's unrealistic for you to keep up, because it's not going to matter. I feel that and the same with men, but vice versa, both ways. It goes both ways. So whoever you're trying to date, whether you're a male or a female, I think the lesson is be yourself. And if who you are is what that person wants, then it's going to work. If who you are is not what the person wants, then it's good for you to find that out. So that way they can go on about their way, and you can go on about your way, and you can actually find the right person. Because there's nothing worse than being with someone who likes you for reasons that aren't true to who you are. It's like you're going to have a hard time keeping that up. So what I, kind of got from the movie is just be yourself, and also be willing to accept that everyone is not ready and willing to, settle down at that moment in their life. You have to really communicate with people and find out what is it they're looking for. If they're just looking for fun, and you're just looking for fun, go for it. But if they're looking for fun and that's not your thing, and you're not going to be able to handle just like a short-term thing, then go on. Don't try to conform, or don't try to like change that person. Feel like, well, I'll go ahead and do it, but I'm going to change them. Don't try to be like that. Just go ahead and be realistic about dating, if you will, and relationships. Also, it kind of talked about, it kind of left an impression with me when it comes to friendships as well, because there were a lot of friendships in the movie, and there were people who were better friends than others. So, example, the guys, Eddie Murphy, Martin, and David Allen Greer. When I looked at the dynamic, there were instances where I felt that, how like in a friendship, I don't know if this is always the case. It shouldn't be. There are friendships where you almost feel like, man, well, I've been there where I feel like, man, I need to do something for this friend. This friend is always doing stuff for me. But at the same time, everyone has a different way of giving to the friendship. So I was the type of person that I'm always there for you if you need someone to talk to, or if you need this. I'm just like a different, I bring a different thing to the table. But that's all fine and dandy. But however, you do need to make sure that the friendship is equal. Let me just put it like that. Even though what you contribute may be different, you may have a different way of being a friend, you do want to make sure that, it's an equal friendship. And that can be, if your friend is always, I'll give an example. If your friend is always buying you lunch, your friend is always taking you to brunch, happy hour, what have you, and always saying, oh, I got it, because maybe you're having a tough time, you're financially strapped, or, your friend may just feel like, you don't have it at this particular type of restaurant you're going to, or what have you. Make sure you, at some point, make an effort when you can to take that person out, treat them, every once in a while, just because someone is generous, and which is great. Some people are just generous, and that's amazing. That's an amazing quality to have. But it's good to treat the generous people too. It's good. Don't forget to, let me take them out today. When you can. Everybody doesn't have it like that, but when you do have it, do something for that person too. To show them that they're special too. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the colorfulness of this film, and how, first of all, it set place in New York. I love movies that are set place in New York and Chicago. Those are two of my favorite cities for movies to be set place in. I just love it. Now, when it comes to Los Angeles, I know a lot of people, it's beautiful. It's like the ocean and all that. But because I live in California and I see that kind of stuff all the time, I guess that's why it's not as exciting for me. I feel like if I didn't live in California, I may feel differently, But those tall buildings, the skyline, just Chicago, New York, and I feel like Chicago's a beautiful city, especially like the downtown area, and not just the downtown, but Chicago. I like that city. So basically, just seeing Chicago or New York, I love it, and I love when they incorporate the city with the movie. Like the city is a part of it. And I think they did a good job with kind of showing New York a little bit, and like the outside, like they showed them hailing a cab. I love when they throw things like that in to the movie to make the city itself part of what's going on. Also, what I liked about this film was, I think in the 90s, it was a time when people were, a lot of what they showed in the 90s was kind of very, I want to say cleaned up, but that's not the word. Just, I feel everyone looked really nice. When it comes to the ladies, they looked like ladies. They looked very classy. That's the word I'm looking for. I feel like in the 90s, a lot of the films that were made, they portrayed the people to look very neat and classy, and I love that aesthetic. So I enjoyed that too. It was good looking at the people. They looked good. I mean, they were well put together. Just everything. I just enjoyed the film, and I laughed. So basically, in a nutshell, I feel that this movie is great if you just want to kind of laugh, relax, and you just want to just have a nostalgic moment, because it's so 90s. Like you could definitely tell that you're in another time. I mean, for sure, hands down. And not for nothing, it says that the movie came out in '92, but you know how that goes. It takes them like a couple of years to shoot the movie. Probably they were shooting it in late, like, the late '80s, early '90s. Like 1990, probably more realistic. Probably started shooting it like 1990 or so. So it's very nostalgic in a very, very good way. And I loved watching it. Did I mention Halle Berry was in the movie? I'm not sure if I said her name, but she's in it too. She has a big part in the movie as well. And you could tell she was new in her acting career. Not saying that to say her acting was like bad or anything. It was just like she looked so young. That's what I mean by she was new in her career. You could tell she was young, and it was like her earlier years. And it was good to see her. And yeah, it was just, man, it's just nostalgic to watch something like that and to see Eddie Murphy as well, in the movie, as a younger man. And which he actually, to be honest with you, just thinking about how he looked in the movie and thinking about how he looks now, he really aged well. Like Eddie Murphy, he looks, very similar to, how he looked back then. So he actually aged pretty good. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to come on and recommend this movie. It's funny. It just popped up on my YouTube suggestions, those good old YouTube suggestions. And I watched it and thought I'd share it with you guys and do one old movie. As I've been doing some kind of new ones lately, I'm actually about to do another video for you guys on a new series. So, yeah. They've been doing pretty good with new stuff lately. So I haven't been doing... I used to do more older movies. I love throwing those in, though. I don't want to ever get away from doing older ones because it's so good to revisit this stuff. And also, have you noticed, like, when you haven't watched a movie in, like, a very, very long time, it's like you forget so much. After a while, you've seen so many things, you've done so much other stuff in your life, and you go back and watch it, and it's like, oh, I don't even remember this movie. And you can, like, watch it like it's your first time watching it sometimes. Granted, there's certain things, like the ending you probably know and things like that, but still, it's kind of enjoyable to watch stuff that you haven't watched in years or like a decade or something. You can kind of go back and watch it, and it's still, entertaining. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up, guys. Until next time, don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Peace.